All right, welcome everybody to the October 2022 Imaging Raleigh Astronomy Club Imaging Meeting. And today we do our quarterly, or tonight we're going to have our meeting of a format that we do on quarterly called the Imaging Target Challenge. And it says change there. I need to fix that. Let's see. But anyway, so the challenge for this time around was to photograph a large swath of the night sky, about 20 degrees or larger, and of the Milky Way. And so you could do this mostly with a camera lens, or if you really wanted to use a telescope, as long as you made it 20 degrees, you could do a mosaic out of it. So who would like to go first? Let's show us their results.
I can go first and start us off.
Okay, go for it, Jim.
All right, why don't I see share? Share, there we go. Oh, disable participant screen sharing.
Awesome. All right, fixing it.
Okay.
Try it now.
All right, there we go. All right, so this is a first one. This is Andromeda over our lake house in Virginia, where I do most of my photography. I did a couple of trips this summer, and I had the camera with me both times. But on nights when it was finally clear, the moon was out, and if the moon wasn't out, it was cloudy. So after traveling around for several months, I just landed up just shooting in Virginia, where it's about Bortle 4, so it's not nearly the same as a 1 or 2. And so I was hoping just to take a picture of Andromeda over the house. So this is 18 millimeters, ISO 6400 on a full frame DSLR. And I think I did 18 seconds on this. It's a single shot. I didn't end up stacking anything on this. I just did a single one. And then when I processed it, I'm like, well, that would have been cool if I had done a time lapse, but too late, next time. But my goal is just to see what Andromeda would look like with something in the foreground. So
looks like you got the double cluster just left in top center
over here. So nothing too spectacular there with that one. And then that same night, I pointed the camera straight up and shot the Cygnus region. I think I zoomed into about 27 millimeters for this one. A haze had come in, and just processing this was a mess. So I apologize for this image. But I just want to kind of capture that Cygnus region. And this is about all I got on it. This was, I think I landed up stacking 25 frames to get this. But it was pretty hazy, and it was hard to get much color out of it. But even with a unmodified DSLR, I got a little bit of the HA to come through, but just not very much. And I said it was kind of a mess processing this, because the data just wasn't very good. So
what were your exposures with that?
So this was also ISO 6400 in 20 seconds, 20 frames of 20 seconds.
Okay. At 20 seconds, are you untracked?
I ended up tracking it. Probably don't need to. The stars just start to get a little oval shaped. But since I didn't have any foreground objects to deal with, I figured I'd just go ahead and track it.
Okay, thanks.
What camera was that, Jim?
It's a Canon 5D, which is a full frame.
Full frame, okay.
I have to say, I mean, this is a pretty good Tamron lens that I use, but on the full frame, it really exposes some aberrations in the corners.
That's an interesting effect with the, it's almost like overdoing it with Topaz AI.
Yeah. The Milky Way itself was really cloudy. The stars are too sharp. They look like they're a fake layer on top of the whole thing. Like processing this thing is not.
Yeah, difficult.
Not pretty.
Difficult to process. Yeah, I understand.
But that's the extent of my summer's work. Trying to get these done. Hopefully next summer I'll get somewhere dark. And I said, Bortle 1 or 2, it's really fun to do this. Bortle 4 with the haze, not so much fun.
Okay, very good. Who's next?
Sure, I can take it.
Pretty much ruined it for you, so sorry.
Well, it was just one picture. So, the end of September, went to Denver and joined the Denver Astronomical Society, and they have a dark site, the Edmund G. Klein dark site. It's about a 60-minute drive east of Denver. And I don't know how dark it is. Like, if you look at light pollution maps, it's like maybe Bortle 3, but I don't have anything to compare it to other than what's around the Raleigh area. And let me tell you, it was dark. I'm like, here we look up and we're like, is that the Milky Way? Maybe, or is that a faint cloud? There, it's like in your face. It was really, really cool. So if you're ever in that area, check it out. So this was the Saturday before Jupiter was going to be, closest it had been in like 59 years or whatever. So I decided to take a picture, even though this is with a 20 millimeter Sigma art lens, and I'm using a Canon T2i camera for all of these on a tripod, not tracked at all. It's about, let me see, I've got my notes in front of me, 21 frames, 15 seconds each. And that's why I was asking Jim about the exposure. Like, I was seeing star trails at 15 seconds. Like, one of the things I wish I'd done is like not gone quite that far, though I tried a whole bunch of different things. It's about the longest exposure time I'd want to do, but I like this one, not for Jupiter's, obviously, just kind of, it's a big bright blob in the middle, but the bottom, this greenish haze, like this was pointing it out east, which is out into the middle of nowhere. There's no light domes, nothing. So and with the elevations of Denver, my assumption is this is like air glow, and that was just really cool to catch.
You figure out where the moons are there in Jupiter? I guess I can kind of maybe.
I didn't even try.
See kind of 4 little dots there enclosed.
Yeah, maybe. It's kind of a little bit of a line here. Yeah, if somebody had a scope that let me see a couple of things like Andromeda and Jupiter to it, which was really cool to that dark site. But
and what camera was this?
it's a Canon Rebel T2i. It's
Okay.
modded.
So with the crop factor on there, I wonder if that's why you were getting a little bit of oval stars.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, you can see in this corner up here, things are a little stretched, but the others aren't as bad. So it's one of those, like, I've never done this before, and just like go out to a dark site and see what happens kind of nights. All right, so next, so this is, I think, the one Chris had in the intro slide. So this is looking back almost the other way more. So the previous was looking east. This is more southwest. Oh no, this is a slightly different version. So this is a 2-panel mosaic. So the entrance to the dark site is, I think, oh, it's right. It's somewhere along this fence line. I'm not sure where. There's the road, and I guess it's over there. But I was trying to just get panels of stuff just to come back home and see what I could end up processing. I was able to get the foreground at the bottom here, the fence and the ground to actually line up, but I never could get, there were 2 wires, which I think another picture I have will show that. 2 wires that I just could not get to line up. So I had to remove those. But yeah, this was fun. I think these were either 10 or 15 second exposures, probably 1600 or 3200 ISO. I don't have that in front of me.
Is that just like a gravel driveway in the front? Or?
Yeah, well, so the road out here, you're literally in the middle of nowhere. So there is a paved road like a couple miles to the south, but then there's like a gravel road coming up to this and a little side road off here. And they have, I don't have the pictures right now, but they have a bunch of like concrete pads set up, like it's 8 or 10 different concrete pads. Then there's power. They have a bathroom. They've got an observatory, which is one of the images I'll show, which they didn't open up while I was there. I have like a shelter thing for like when it's super cold. So like a warm room, which apparently you have to watch out for the snakes in the area, like rattlesnakes, because they like it too. So the dangers of astrophotography.
Was there anybody else out there, or were you just out there by yourself?
Oh no, there was about 8 to 10 people out there.
Yeah, I like how you composed it, off center, the Milky Way. It, yeah.
Thanks, Tom. All right, this one, this is horizon to horizon, obviously curved for fun, but you can see on this right side, this is the same entrance we were just looking at, that fence, and you see the wires coming up, but then I went all the way over head, and with a static tripod that's not made for doing this was one of those. I had 2 different sets of data that I had just taken, like incrementally moving the camera up. I'm like, well, I'm going to see what happens if I just try and slam these things together. So I think the ISO for the right side was 3200, and well, one's 3200, the other's 1600. They're all 10-second exposures, total of 19. 19 pictures.
That's pretty cool. I like it.
Thanks. I think.
Looks like there's a little light dome in there. I guess go ahead and show the next one.
Well, yeah. So the south
Yeah.
one has definitely a dome. There's more light to the north than I had thought. There's this little thing. I don't know if it's like a little farm or something, maybe. And here you can see this is the same light source. I had moved the camera at this point. This is a little observatory they have. I don't particularly like the processing of this image. I need to go back and do it because I figured out, like, I was doing background extraction before putting the mosaic together, which you can see there's like weird gradients across the image from doing that, but I just haven't had the time to go back and process it again. But this one's neat because I like the observatory. I wanted that. I wanted to get a wider field, but things on the ground, because of the rotation of everything, I just couldn't get it to line up. But we got Pleiades, California Nebula, Andromeda, and then a whole slew of stuff through the Milky Way. So. And then this picture, this is what? 15 exposures of 15 seconds each at ISO 800, apparently. Oh, and I was shooting these all wide open f1.4 because why not? That's probably some of the, aberrations in the corners are because of that, but. And then the last one, again, from the entrance, this is what Chris had in the intro. So this one with the wires, and I don't know what I did to get the effect on the foreground here, but it's kind of cool. And this is, I think, one of the data sets that went into the horizon to horizon shot. And in my head, I think of it as like the flame. It's just kind of cool.
Yeah.
And
That'd make a neat print. On vertical print like that.
I've thought about so my study, I've got, I'm over the garage, and it's like one of those rooms that we've got finished. It wasn't finished initially. And I can reach up, there's like a 45-degree wall up here. I thought it'd be cool to print it and like have it actually go up and over. Yeah.
Yeah, Naveen, I've got one that's 5 feet long going across my mantle in the living room.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
Rotated 90 degrees. So
Yeah.
it's very nice too. My image isn't as nice as yours, but it was fun to do.
It is. And actually, I'm gonna go find another one. I'm sorry. So, or maybe I'll come back to it and let somebody else share. So the horizon to horizon, I did also a vertical one, which is akin to this. It's really cool to scroll through because you don't get the warping. But my wife was like kind of perplexed about why it was so long. I'm like, all right, fine, I'll change it to something more rainbow-like. I like the effect too. I'll find that and we can come back to me.
Is that it, Ruby?
Yep.
Okay, who'd like to go next?
I'll go next, Chris.
Okay.
Share screen. This is the right one. As I said, I cheated on this because I couldn't do this. I've been on the traveling and stuff. I didn't have time. But this is from Big Woods in May of 2017. And it's with a Canon 6D and a 24 millimeter Rokinon. It's a 12 image mosaic, ISO 800, f1.4, 30-second exposures each, and then put together and in Photoshop and played around with it for a while to bring it out. And you can see that down in the lower right there, there's the building out there with somehow with red lights in it. I don't know, the Ranger building. So that's, my guess is one can't do that from Big Woods anymore. 5 years later, it's probably too bright there now. You can see that still is quite a lot on the horizon. So this is closest thing I have to fit into what we think. Like I said earlier, I'm going to Northern California, Bortle 1, Bortle 2 skies around Thanksgiving. So I will try again there and see what I can do out in such a dark place. So we'll see. The other thing I wanted to show you is not Milky Way, but this is something I put up today. Is that clear? I took the Webb and the Hubble images of the pillars of creation and put them together.
Oh, wow.
So that's it takes some of the structure of each one. My son likes the Hubble picture better than the Webb picture, so I decided I would put them together and see what would come out. And I thought it was kind of interesting to put everything together into one image. So that's just something I did earlier today, just for fun. So,
Yeah. Steve, that looks really cool. I saw, somewhere, probably looking on Facebook, of somebody comparing Webb to Hubble, and I'm like, why don't we just put them together? Like, so that looks great.
It does.
so
Yeah, I was just waiting for somebody to do it. Yeah, because I saw it this morning too on my phone news feed. No, why don't you make it a luminance layer, or vice versa, make the infrared luminance for Hubble and then the Hubble luminance for Webb or something like that.
right. Well, there's my attempt at it anyway. So, all right, that's all I've got, Chris.
Okay. I guess I can show mine's just a single exposure. So let's see. Okay, so let's see. Screen. Okay, does everybody see that?
Yep.
So
Yep.
this is just like the south area of my yard in Apex. So I was kind of amazed that it came out as good as it did. This is single exposure. I haven't gotten around to stacking it, but obviously you can see like up here it's like really dark, whereas down here it's not. And well, it's because all over here there's a development there, and then whatever other civilizations right there, it's adding to it. But got the lagoon, got the Trifid, and you can see somewhere up here. There's the Hubble image right there, Pillars of Creation, M16 Eagle Nebula, and then there's the Omega Nebula, Horseshoe Nebula, Swan Nebula. doesn't look like any of those. This image. But yeah, the day, I mean, actually the jet made its appearance right here. You can probably see that. Right there. And then this is, I think it's called the Sagittarius star cloud right here. Don't remember what messy object number that one is.
Is that with a 50 millimeter?
Yes, it is. Thanks for asking. I didn't mention that part, but yeah, I don't know. What I'm thinking is that the timing of this image, because it was taken in September, and I'd done this like maybe around late June or something. It would have been like way deep into the AM hours, and that's when you get the least amount of light pollution. And so I may go back and just try this all over again, just like in the AM hours. I don't know, maybe a good time would be between 2 to 4 AM, because around June, July, about 5 AM, you're starting to see sunlight all that time. Anyways, that's all I have. Anybody else?
Yeah, I have just one.
Okay, let's see it.
Okay. Oh, hit share screen.
Yeah.
Okay. And something came up and I don't know what I'm gonna advance it. I'm not sure. How do I get to my oh, okay, maybe this will work. Did it come up?
Yeah,
It did?
no,
No, I don't see
No.
anything.
Um,
You're doing the little green icon down at the bottom.
yes, and last time I pulled it up from what I had open or down on my screen. So this is something different happened. So I don't use Zoom that much. And
Well, what will happen is when you click that button, another window will come up and it will give you.
oh, that says the files there's basic, advanced files. I don't know.
Do basic, or at least that's what all I've ever done. Do basic, and that should show you all the possible windows.
Okay, yeah, I get it. Never mind. I need to enlarge it so I can see, but oh, here it is. Okay, this will work, I think.
Well, you will only be able to see your file names right there. So what I would do is open one of your images that you want us to see
Yep.
and share that that screen. I don't know if it's Windows, was it Photo Viewer or whatever that they use these days. But so if you, so you're gonna, which one are you gonna show us? Cygnus 50 millimeter? Is that what you're gonna show?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so click on that.
Yep, that's.
Okay, so you opened up that window. Now remove
I-
shape.
I
stop
think
sharing.
something came up that, let me try this once more.
Okay.
Did it work?
No, always still see your files. So it's like I say, don't quit sharing and then do it all over again. And
Yeah, okay.
window that has the image.
Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, gosh darn it. I feel like an idiot here. Damn it. No, I don't want to leave the meeting, cancel. I'm just trying to get back the, oh gosh. Your screen sharing. So, okay, now it's on the top, the menu, a new screen share or just stop share?
I don't know, try new screen share.
Okay.
Select the one that has, select the window with your picture in it.
Okay, let's try this again. And share. Did that work?
Yes,
It
it is.
is.
Very nice.
Oh, okay. All right. Finally. Yeah, this was taken with the El Cheapo plastic 50 millimeter Canon 1.8. And of course, with this lens, you have to stop it down quite a bit. And I stopped it down to f3.2, and it would have been better at f4 or higher, but I wanted to try to get as much nebulosity as possible. This was on a my Canon T3i that's full spectrum modified, and it represents 38 1-minute exposures at ISO 1600. And I took 66, but I found that this was taken September 17th, that temperature dropped, and I noticed that the focus went out slowly in the later exposures, so I only took the first 38. And the one thing I noticed, and I down on the bottom right, it's out of focus. And I think what happened there is, on occasion, I was using a hair dryer, and I was trying to be careful, keeping it away from the lens. I had a shroud around it. Actually, I doubled over some heavy foil and blackened it with some flat black paint. And I think that's why it looks out of focus on the edge there, because I don't see that in other photos. So that's the only thing I could think of. And I did have to do a bit of processing. I did a little bit of star reduction. I had to get rid of a green cast and Cyril. And I did a little bit in I also had to get rid of some of the chromatic issues with the stars in raw therapy, and then finally a little bit of processing in Topaz AI. And so it's okay. And it's and that it's you can see this star in the is the Satyr, and you can see the butterfly nebula and nebulosity around that. And the brighter star at the bottom is Deneb. And in the out of focus area, you can just see a little bit of the Veil Nebula, and that it's unfortunately it's out of focus, and that.
No, that's great, Don. Something something I'm curious about trying with this is like do almost like a star net with it, just to see what it would look like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
do a star net. Who knows? Maybe you'll be able to just isolate the Veil Nebula down there and just remove all the out of focus stars.
Yeah, it's the other thing is trying to it was nearly at the meridian, and you try positioning the camera and trying to I wanted to get the North American Nebula and the Veil and some others, but it was really kind of a pain. But I kind of like this also. It's kind of at an angle and that but yeah, and I'll just want to quickly show the setup I used. How do I choose another image? Share a new share again, I guess. Yeah.
Well, you can take that window itself and just like tap forward or back with the with your arrow keys, and that may get you there if it's in the same folder.
Okay, share. Did this come up?
Yeah, there we go. That's it.
Yeah. That's this is my travel unit. I can take this on the airplane, and I even have another lighter tripod. And it's the Star Tracker is a Vixen Polari. I've had it for a number of years, and you can see the polar scope. And I bought an attachment that fits on it, so I could put a yeah, what do we call it? An arm on it and a counterweight. And that's and I made that on a table saw and cut a slot in it so I can you know, use obviously the polar scope and make a, you know, adjustment for the counterweight. And the counterweight is just a Metamucil bottle that I have some
I remember that.
quartz pea stones in there and some bubble wrap and a piece of cardboard in there to keep it. And I made a illuminator for the polar scope and a mounting block and that, and it works pretty well. I run it off a USB battery and then, you know, an interferometer and that. So yeah, that's all that I have.
Trying to imagine how much you had to crane your neck to frame and focus.
Yeah, I mean, what helps a little bit is the T3i has that screen that pop, you know, folds out and you can
Yeah.
move it around, but still it's a royal pain in the neck. Yeah, I've adapted a red dot finder I can slide on the camera shoe. I especially need that for the 105 millimeter and that, otherwise I go out of my mind, you know, trying to point that, especially if it's in a position. And it was close to, I positioned it somewhat close to what I was taking a picture at. And I think it was in a worse position than that. But anyway, yeah, that's it.
Chris, I want to show something. Don, I just grabbed your image and processed it a little bit for fun.
Yeah,
My God, Steve.
thank you.
Here,
Oh, that's fine.
Oh, yeah,
yeah, I just removed the stars and picks inside.
yeah.
A little bit of noise reduction and increase the saturation a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can, a lot of the things that you can see now that the stars don't get in the way of.
Thank you. Yeah, that's kind of neat. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I like removing stars these days. So
That's cool. Thank you.
structures. But anyway, you can do that for fun.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's it.
Okay, anybody else? No? All right. So, I guess that concludes everything as far as the topic goes for Imaging Target Challenge. So we do this quarterly. It's something we've been trying out here this year, and I think it'll be a nice tradition that continues. So,
Hey,
so
Chris,
the next one will
I have
be.
one.
I'm sorry. Do what?
I have one, Chris. My power went out. I'm just now booting back up and getting back on here, but I have just one.
Oh, okay. Good, John.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, can you see that?
Ooh,
Can you see that? Okay.
yeah. That looks good.
Yes.
This is not this quarter. This is this quarter 4 quarters ago. This is October 2nd of last year. I made another trip out to Cape Lookout. And
I didn't know if that was ever covered.
this is actually one of the state's latest newest dark sky designated sites there at Cape Lookout. I've been going out there for a few years in the fall, and so this is it's right off of Harker's Island and Morehead City. In fact, this glow over on the right is Morehead City. But this is last fall. There's Jupiter over here to the left of the lighthouse, and this is Saturn, and this is Venus over here low in the west, and this is a meteor that came by. It's a 5-image panorama, 10-second exposures at ISO 6400 with a Nikon D850 and a 14 to 24 millimeter lens at f2.8. And it's just, shot from left to right, vertical component images and stitched in Photoshop. Dark place, you can see Morehead City glowing, no problem there, but looking out over the water, it's very dark out there. And a lot of, you get out there in a fall night, there's a lot of campers, there's a lot of insect life out there for sure. And, cool place to be. It's not the easiest to get to. If you have a 4-wheel drive, you can go, you take a ferry to the north end of the Core Banks there and drive down to where the lighthouse is there at Cape Lookout. Or you can take a ferry, passenger ferry from Parker's Island over there. And the last one runs at 5:30 in the evening and doesn't return until 8:30 the next morning. So
That's a great photo. I really like it.
the Crystal Coast stargazers go out there a lot. There's a handful of them that travel over there. And Naveen had the air glow in one of his Denver pictures. I saw and shot, I couldn't find it. I shot the most profound air glow that I had ever seen. I could see it in the sky. Couldn't see the color, the red or the green color, but I could see this sinuous changing shapes, in the sky background. This was in 2017 when I was out there. It's very little air glow a year ago when this was made, but man,
John, what can you see with your eye when you're there? Can you see the Milky Way clearly, or?
no doubt about it. Just before it even, you can see it during nautical twilight start to pop out.
Yeah.
So it's very good. And October is, you can get a lot of clear nights out there in October, but the Milky Way is starting to get pretty far west in October. But yeah, it's a great dark place. And the lighthouse is, fortunately, when you're doing a picture like this, it's not as bright as it used to be. There used to be a rotating aircraft beacon up there in the lamp house, like there is at Cape Hatteras, that would sweep around and actually rotate. But they had trouble with the submarine power cable that goes out there from the mainland. It was not reliable, or it was old or something. I don't know exactly what, but 5 or 6 years ago, they put up solar panels on the right side of the lighthouse here, kind of behind where the keeper's quarters is right here. And they put a much dimmer light that shines 360 all the time, and much dimmer. People on Harker's Island were all upset about it because they like to see the beam sweep across the water as they look out there. But now it's a wimpy light, and they don't like that. But it's clearly less bright. But and I forget what the period is on it. But if I was making 10-second exposures out there, it would be on about 2/3 of the time when I was doing back-to-back 10-second exposures. But it's not very bright. So it's a cool place to go, although it's not an easy place to get to. And I've gone out there for half a night, and had a friend of mine who lives in Marshallburg pick me up in his boat in the middle of the night. And I've also been out there from sunset to sunrise.
Where the horses are too?
There are horses on Shackelford Banks, which is over here to the right. This is called the Back Sound over here on the right. And Shackelford is right over here, kind of off the picture to the right. So that's where the one herd of horses is at Shackelford Banks. There are restrooms here that are open, all night. You just got to have a headlamp on to to find them. And the National Park Service people that police the island stay in the keepers' quarters for 6 weeks at a time. They rotate a crew in there 6 weeks at a time. So you see lights on in the keepers' quarters. Most of the nights that I've been there, that some light has been on. This is a campfire down here at lower right that some campers built. But good place to go.
What island is this again?
This is at Cape Lookout on the southern Outer Banks.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the lighthouse going north. It's the lighthouse you get to before Hatteras. Okay, it's south of Hatteras.
Thank you.
Well, you just take 70 out of Raleigh, and that takes you to Morehead City and Harker's Island, I think. And you jump on the ferry, which is like $20 each way, and they can take you out there, and they can leave you overnight and come back and get you at 8:30 in the morning.
Well, that's the kind of trip that I used to take friends on who, because I worked I've been working at North Carolina State University for years, and I once taught a class there, and something was an informal class. It wasn't like in the course catalog or anything like that. But some of the students there, they would ask like, well, what can you see at the beach besides just going swimming at the beach? And I was like, okay. And if it was just a small group of them, what I would do is I would take them down we would leave Wake County, or just Raleigh, we'll just put it that way because it's NC State. We would leave around 4:30 a.m. and drive all the way to our first stop, which would be Jockey's Ridge. And by the time we got there, it had just opened, and we would go there, spend an hour there, go back to the car, drive further north, and go and see the Wright Brothers Memorial. And then after that, we would drive south. I forgot what highway that is. I want to say it's either 11 or 17. I can't remember the name of it. But drive south, and then eventually you hit Hatteras, and then we would go to Ocracoke, and by that time it's already getting close to the evening, and we would eat supper there, and we would jump on the ferry and go back to Cedar Island and do what you're saying, John. Jump on 70 and go home. By the time you get home, it's about 1 a.m.
Yeah.
So it's a really long round trip, but you see everything really quick, and but in regards to this image, though, I think I've done this trip several times. The thing I look forward to the most, as far as the evening, of course, is seeing the Milky Way while you're on the ferry, because you can just go up to the top and just lay down and just look up. And it's great. It's a great experience.
But if you go and it's anything but the dead of winter, take some bug spray, because the bugs will carry you away. There was a story my ferry captain that took us over last October told me that he took a family from Virginia over. There was about 7 of them, kids and 2 parents, and they were going to go camping out at Cape Lookout. They'd never been camping before.
Oh boy.
And they had all this camping gear that was still in the Walmart bags, and they were loading all that on the ferry. And the ferry captain said, well, you got any bug spray? And they said, no, we'll be okay with the bug. And so the ferry went back to get them at 8:30 in the morning, which is the next one over. And he said when he pulled up to the dock there at the lighthouse, all 7 of them were in the water with just their faces out of the water. That was the only way they could get away from the bugs. They were completely submerged except for their faces and their nose and mouth and eyes. And so do take some bug spray, but it is really a cool place to be on a clear, dry night when the Milky Way is up. It's very nice. Very nice. Not quite as dark as Ocracoke if you were on Ocracoke, but very striking place to be there with the lighthouse, and the dark sky.
Yeah, well, the Milky Way, because I mean, that was when I was just starting into amateur astronomy. You would see the Milky Way basically like what you're showing here. I mean, not super intense, but it was bright enough that you could, well, with your own naked eye, you can make out the Lagoon Nebula pretty easily.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's all I've got, Chris.
Okay, very good. All right, so yeah, there we go. I guess we can include all the people, all the imagers who wanted to show what they got with the target challenge of the Milky Way Widefield. And before we get on to the second half, where we look at images that were not the target challenge, we always like to talk about what the next target challenge will be. And this is the last one of 2022. So the next one that we propose tonight, we'll look at the results on January. So anyway, Naveen brought up something to me in an email that I thought was, I imagine it was because he was inspired by what he was able to get with his Widefield images out in Colorado. It's almost like a processing challenge kind of thing. We image an object, one exposure, I guess one set of calibration frames, and see what you can get out of it. So you could do anything. I guess the only thing I would, other rule that I would put into place is because we do, sticking to the tradition of what we're trying to set up here is that whatever you image, it has to be from now into January. So a single exposure image of anything, and use only one set of calibration frames, and use one dark, one bias, or one flat dark, and so anyway, and flats and whatnot. So what does everybody think of that? I mean, anybody game?
Well, some of the standard software won't process with only one. That wants 8.
That is, yeah, that's true. I didn't think about that, but it's like if you, yeah, I guess that's something I would have to research. If you have a Photoshop, I know there's ways that you can calibrate an image in Photoshop, and obviously you can. PixInsight will be okay with just one set of things. They'll probably think you're insane, but whatever. I mean, you don't necessarily have to do just what is it? Actually calibrate your image. You can just take your raw image and do what you can with it, and and show us what you got. So I mean, you get down to it, that Milky Way image I showed you over here in Apex, that's all it was. It was just a raw frame converted to TIFF, and then I just edited it in Photoshop. And I did it while everybody was talking just now. So I mean, it's and there's a lot of possibilities with that. I mean, what does everybody think? Do you think that we should do something like this, or any other ideas to have something different, or whatever else we should take into consideration of just doing a one exposure challenge?
Well, you don't have to have calibration frames, probably.
I'm sorry, say that again.
I mean, you just a single light frame or something like that, and see what you can get out of it.
Okay, well, yeah, I guess we can do that. Just a single light frame. Okay. I guess that means my ASI 183 is out because it has the hideous amp photo, but that's okay. It's black and white. We want to see things in color. So
Profit.
yeah, there you go. Yeah, I didn't think about that. Yeah, that puts another I could profit, but
Well, maybe a flat frame or something.
yeah, there's tricks around it. I mean, I'm sure you can come up with something that's insight, but
If you're shooting mono, can you do one in each color channel?
you can do it in color or mono. I mean, I guess that was I was a little quick to say that, but no, mono or color, because I was going back to some of my old mono images from a while back, just looking at the individual exposures, and I was like, you know what? It gets to a point where I was thinking that all I would have to do is just calibrate one frame, and I think this image would be done. So But we always like to push it to the limit, so that's why we stack, but whatever. Okay. So is everybody okay with that? Just one exposure challenge?
Sounds fun.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, so that's the rule that we'll have here is that will be a one exposure. If you want to calibrate it, fine. If you don't, that's okay. And you do it with any kind of equipment, black and white, color. And the only other thing I like to have in place is it has to be of an object from between now and January when we look at the results. So anyway. All right, so we'll go ahead and go to the second half of the meeting where we look at images that have nothing to do with the target challenge. I guess let me go first. Get this over with. Let's see. Did that come from there? Try to get this one open. Hello, come on, you can do it. Okay, does everybody see that? Well, that's the one image I just showed you. Let's see. Okay, so I didn't really go into the details. I don't know what exactly I said as far as us going back to our discussions of the Milky Way Widefield images that we took, but this was one of my first images ever taken with my Star Adventure. There was a place on eBay that was having like a flash sale on the Star Adventure, and I was able to get the Star Adventure everything, the Altaz, counterweight bar, just about all the stuff you need with the exception of a tripod, and they were selling it for $300. I was like, wow, better get it now. And I'm assuming the reason why they were doing that is because they were bringing out a new one, a new version of the Star Adventure that can handle a little more weight and it actually has go-to instead. You just like hunting around, start hopping, here and there, trying to center your object and whatnot. But I want to say it's called the Adventure GTI, is what I remember correctly. But anyway, yeah, just going around the sky, enjoying the new toy, and none of these are really that, there's not much wow factor to this, but this is a constellation. Let's see how good everybody is at these kinds of things. What constellation is this? Five seconds. Okay, 5 seconds up. Yeah, take it. Do what?
Is that Andromeda?
No, it's not. So this was taken with an 85 millimeter. So yeah, if I would disclose that, that probably would give you an idea of the field of view there. Plus two, because these are just whole constellations and these are lightly processed, you don't really get to see the bold stars in there. So this constellation, this is the constellation, I think it's called Delphinius. It's the dolphin. And it's very close to Andromeda Dawn. So I don't know of any any deep sky objects that are in the constellation that stand out or that people know about. But yeah, right here, there's the 4 stars of it, and it looks kind of like a question mark a little bit. So here's the 4 main stars. I want to say that's like the tail flippers of the dolphin, and then it just goes down here, and then like right here. But anyway, yeah, it looks kind of like that. It's more like a comet than it does
Now I see it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to make out, but yeah, that's just one exposure. I was just playing around with it, see what I can get. And then the same thing right here. Probably people can pick up on this. Does anybody know what constellation this is? 85 millimeters. So again, it's the same field of view.
Well, the name of the file is Lyra, so.
Yeah, so I just gave it away. Damn it, Naveen, I swear. Okay, all right. Yeah, all right. Well, that's sort of not the reason of that. But anyway, so what star is that? Naveen.
Oh, well, I wonder.
It's Vega, Naveen. My God.
Is it?
Program. Anyway, okay, so yeah, thanks, Naveen. It's Lyra, brightest star in there. I guess Lyra Alpha. that would be Vega, which you see right there. And the other four main stars in here are right here, right here, and right here. I can't tell which is the bright star after that. That would probably be called Lyra Beta or whatever. But here are the bottom two stars that you can use as a guide to star hop to the Ring Nebula. And you just barely make out the Ring Nebula right there. So there's that. Okay, so, well, since I blew it, this is Sagitta. but anyway, so Sagitta, I guess it's the arrow, but you can kind of see the dark nebula showing up right here because Sagitta, I want to say, is kind of nestled within the summer triangle of, what do you call it? Let's say summer triangles, those four main stars, bright stars that make a triangle. It's Altair, Deneb, and when we just looked at Vega. And but Sagitta, which is the arrow, this is the arrow head, if you will, and then going down the shaft of the arrow, and then out the end here are the I don't know what you would call the feathers of the arrow. I can't remember. Fletches, I think they call them. But anyway, so. Yeah, Sagitta, the cool thing about Sagitta, as far as in the constellation Sagitta, right there, that's the globular cluster M71. It's probably the most standoutish thing in the constellation. But up here, this is a dumbbell nebula, but technically it's not in Sagitta, it's in Vulpecula. So there's a dumbbell nebula. Anyway, that's all I have. So, who else would like to go?
I'll go.
All right, so what you got?
I think there are 3 years of shooting DSLR. Finally got myself a mono camera. Waited 4 or 5 months for it to arrive. But I got a ASI 2600, and oh, I've been having so much fun. Let's see. Share this. That's the wrong one. Let me try that again. Share that one. So the first thing I shot with it was the Wizard Nebula, and this is my first night out, and I was just hoping to learn how to use the equipment. And it's so much better than anything I ever got with the DSLR. I was having so much fun with it.
Is it MC or an MM?
MM.
And what filters?
So this is a narrowband SHO.
Or what brand filter?
Oh, Astronomic. 6 nanometers.
Like a long defense of where I want to get one of these, but then well, you know, my filters will fit it, so I have to buy a whole new set of filters.
So that's a whole other expense to it. So the next thing I went out and shot was Andromeda. You get to see HA for my first time, and so did HA RGB with Andromeda, and just the smaller pixels on the 2600. I think they're 3.8 versus 5.4 on my Canon. Brought a lot more detail, and I had a lot of fun bringing the HA out. So that was great. It's just pictures that come right out of the camera are amazing. And then last weekend I went and I shot the Heart Nebula, and I just stacked it last night. And so this is without doing background extraction, no noise reduction. This is literally stacked, combine the channels and adjusted levels. And that's all I've done to this. And I'm just blown away with what this camera can do. I've yet to like really process this yet.
Yeah, it's a really nice heart.
It is a fun camera to use. Just looking at what comes up on the computer screen while I'm imaging. So it's going to be fun to do a 1-image challenge with it. Doesn't seem like it's going to be fair because the images come out so clean right out of the camera. Anyway,
It looks great.
Yeah.
What is your lens or telescope for this?
So I have a Meade 70mm quad APO. It's an f5. It gives me a nice field of view for using with this sensor.
Which camera is this again, Jim?
It's a ASI 2600 MM Pro.
2600. Okay, thank you.
That's what I've been up to.
Okay, anybody else want to go?
Sure. I will go. So I switched over in September to using a Skywatcher 150 PDS. So it's a not 150. Yeah, 150. It's F5 native. I've got a 0.95 coma corrector on it, and this is all the pictures tonight are shot with the ASI 533 MC Pro. I've got my 2600 on it now, and I've been shooting stuff, and I'm really looking forward to getting some projects ready to process because it is a great camera. But this was a double cluster. I don't typically shoot something like this, but just looking for targets, and this cropped up, and it is my favorite picture right now. I just love the colors, and like I've taken one of the clusters as my lock screen on my phone, and the other clusters like the background on my phone. So like I get both of them in my face all the time. And total time on this was like an hour 40 minutes.
That's a nice thing about clusters. It doesn't take that much time to do it.
Nope.
Is that
Doesn't.
is your mount an EQ6R?
Yes.
And it's doing okay with the 150?
Yeah, it is. I mean, other than my RA is a little wonky still. I switched out the bearings back in February, and it was very wonky, but usable. I switched them back like August, and it's better, but still right now, like the guiding it's very sawtooth, and I don't know what's going on. But it's inconsistent. Sometimes it's great. Frustrating. But yeah, overall it's working all right. Well enough, I guess.
That's great.
This been taking some shots around in heart and soul areas as well. So this is the Fish Head Nebula. Though oriented like this, I think of it as the Shark Head Nebula. I don't know if you've seen Finding Nemo, but like the shark Bruce, a big great white, and I can like the eye here with the mouth kind of smiling and gills and a fin. Off here the tail, like this looks like
Yes,
a shark.
there.
So this was with the L Extreme, with the same, again, the 533 MC. So L Extreme for almost 11 hours.
Wow. So I mean, is this a SHO or?
No, this one, no. This is closer to just the, RGB straight off the camera.
Okay. I'm sorry if I'm not fine, because you said L Extreme, and then I'm just like, well, wait a minute, it's a mono cam.
No, it's the 533 MC.
Okay.
So this is the color.
I'll shut up. I didn't listen to you. Sorry.
Yeah, all of the images tonight are with that color camera. I haven't processed anything with the mono yet. I switched it out, and it's on the telescope now.
Okay.
Still in the heart nebula, so this is more the heart of heart. I had taken this last year with the doublet I was using, and I just really love the structure here and the dust bits over here. So again, with the L Extreme, I don't remember if I went more like an HOO with this one and messed around, but I might have. That's about 6.5 hours. Then
Yay, everybody loves that one.
Yeah, Hercules globular cluster. It's at 3 Bear Acres for first Friday, I guess it was, something like that in September. And learning how to do live stacking with PixInsight, meaning having it fail on me in glorious ways. But I was able to pull it together once I got home. This is, again, nice to have bright stars. Is 34 minutes total time. And that same.
I should say, I'd love to know what the night sky looks like from inside a globular cluster. That must be a crazy looking night sky.
Oh man, is there a night sky?
Maybe perpetual day.
Yeah. That same night I started taking some of Iris Nebula. I keep coming back to this one. Obviously, one of my favorites. I ended up getting some more data from my backyard, so total about 3 hours. This is one of those images where, like, when I zoom in, start seeing like some of the modeling from, debayering and probably processing as well. I think I want to come back to this with a mono camera sometime. I haven't tried that for whatever reason. The same setup, get to get a shot of the moon just to see what it looks like. So this is from earlier this month. Took a 5-minute video and kept something like 10%, so like 800 images. And I tried something different this time. I'd been, trying to find with fire capture where the histogram was probably around 60 or 70%, but I was playing with the exposure time. This time I dropped exposure to 1 millisecond and played with the gain. I don't remember what the gain ended up being, but so the individual subs or frames for the video were 1 millisecond for this one. Which seems to have worked out all right.
Very nice.
Thanks. Pac-Man Nebula, again, just the RGB. I want to come back and try like an HOO using some of the scripts that I can't remember who shared in the imaging group recently, but there's some interesting scripts for making that easy. That I messed around with this data already, and it's got a lot of promise. But this is if I didn't say Pac-Man Nebula, 13 hours. And last but not least, another object I really like is this little guy up here, the Galactic Hiker, as part of the Sol Nebula. About 6.5 hours, the L extreme.
All right, well, here you go, Naveen, indulge me. Can you rotate that counterclockwise 90 degrees?
Sure, let's see, counter.
Yeah, there you go. So you got a nose, you got a chin, and then you have a black tongue.
Right.
Yeah, and then you have a pointed ear coming out
Back.
the side right there, and then, whatever it is, it's wearing a hat. So that's what I see.
Brilliant. So what would you call that?
What would
Is
I
that
call
a
that?
elfish witch with the
Yeah,
nose?
or Dumbledore the Black, so the Black Wizard or whatever, or the Dark Wizard. That's more appropriate. So, but yeah, that's what I saw. I was like, looks like well, there we go. Looks like an orc with a wizard hat on, or whatever.
Always fascinating, all the different things that we can see in all these nebulae. Thanks.
It's just like any cloud in, during the daytime, everybody sees something different.
True.
Okay, anybody else? No? Okay. So one thing I got to let everybody know about, and Naveen, I'm sure you already know about it too. Ooh, boy, beer. Can you bring it up for everybody? Oh, seltzer. Get lost. Anyway, what is it? In December, the club or the officers came forward and asked if we could do another imaging showcase. And for those of you who don't know what that is, I'm sure everybody here does, but I'll go ahead and say it. What you do is you just bring your best images of the year and you present them to the club down at the museum. So there may be instances. We'll have to. I'll talk with the co-chairs about this. Maybe there's ways that we can arrange it so that imagers can also present over Zoom as well. But Just want to give you guys a heads up for that. We always like to have participation from all walks of life, as far as like beginners, experts. I guess none of us are experts, but yeah, all kinds of different kinds of equipment that you use to capture your images. I mean, you know, you've got just a standard camera and tripod that takes some of these Milky Way images. I mean, it doesn't have to be too complicated, but yeah. So we'll do an imaging showcase, and Naveen, do you know what day that's going to be on? Because I heard they had to change it.
I believe that one's on the 16th of December.
Yeah, so yeah, usually, so the second Friday of December is the 9th this year, but because something the museum was doing on that night, they moved us down 1 week. So yeah, it'll be on the 16th of December is when we'll have the imaging showcase. So everybody just keep that in the back of your mind if you want to participate and show everybody, you know, best of what you got this year. But anyways, what do we have next? Oh yeah, the next meeting, we don't have a topic or anybody giving us a presentation. So if you have any ideas, let us know, and we'll see what comes to fruition. So otherwise, I guess I'll just leave it at that. Anybody else have anything else to add? No? All right, I guess that's a wrap. Good night, everybody.
Thanks. See ya.
See ya. Good night.